Hear that? New Mexico is putting on a display of one of the things that we do as good as anybody else. And that, my friends, is hail. Hail, yes, it's hailing here today, and I thought I would go outside and share it with you. I just recorded the picture package number 3. For those of you who are asking for black and white, this one is for you. And I have to say though, the sound on this one might suck, and that's why I wanted to come out here today. Oh, it stopped. Thank you to those folks who reached out and said, dude, your film has like this weird beeping sound coming through it. And I was like, what? Someone said all your films have it. And I was like, well, knowing my luck, that's probably true. But I think what they meant was all of my picture package films, because I use a software called ScreenFlow. And I use an external mic that's an EV mic. And so when I went back to those 2 films, there is in fact a beeping sound behind my voice. You kind of have to listen for it, but it's definitely there. And once you know it's there, you're always going to hear it. So I appreciate the people reaching out and telling me about that. The problem is, it is that EV mic, because I tested it earlier, and no matter what I do with that mic, no matter what cable, what adapter, I actually plugged one adapter into another adapter, and then I plugged the cable in, and it's an XLR cable, and I cannot get that beeping to stop. It's coming from the EV mic. The EV mics have their own power source built in, and I have a sinking suspicion it may have something to do with it, but me even talking about any of this is ridiculous, as you know. So I went back and I dug out a set of mics from probably 10 years ago. And the fact that I think it worked, it may or may not have worked. It worked at least one time in the testing process, but I think it might not have worked on the actual recording that I did. So if the sound sucks on this one, 100% your fault. I mean, 100% my fault. But here we are. And again, thanks for people for taking time to reach out, because yeah, that beeping sound was there. And I think the hail's done. Alrighty, friends and family, we are back, and yes, I am using a new microphone. Whether this works or not, I don't know. You know my luck with technology. If you saw what I was using, you would probably, I don't know, injure yourself laughing. I had to dig into the well of old equipment to find something that didn't give that beeping sound, and here we are. So, for those of you out there who've been asking for a black and white series, here you are. I've been listening. This is a black and white picture package. Very, very happy that people have responded the way they have to the picture package idea in the first place. This is real photography to me. This is what happens when you are a photographer and you are making pictures for yourself, or you're making pictures for a client, and that client could be anything from a portrait client, a wedding client, an editorial client, a commercial client, an advertising client. You could be doing work for a stock agency. You could be doing work for, I don't know, an annual report. Shooting, editing, sequencing, delivering files. Nobody talks about camera equipment. Nobody, ever, for any reason. You're supposed to already know that as a photographer. When they look at your work, no one's talking about your soft release. They're not. They may want to, but they're not. And they're certainly not talking about your strap, unless you're like me. And one of the first assignments I ever did, I was wearing a black t-shirt, and a bird decided to, I don't know, take a crap on me, and I didn't know it, and it was on the back of my shoulder. And so every time I took the camera strap on and off my shoulder, guess what it did? It spread the bird crap all over the back of my shirt, until someone came up and said, hey dude, you know that a bird crapped on you? And I was like, no, actually I didn't. Thank you. No wonder my strap is so sticky. Nobody talks about that in the job scenario. It is all about imagery, editing, sequencing, file delivery. So if you're fixated on YouTube channels that are talking about soft releases and straps and a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter, and a new camera every 6 minutes, take a break. Go have some grapefruit juice, and then carbo load and get ready to talk picture package. And in this case, we are talking a picture package of black and white. Although, as you can see, this is toned, warm tone black and white. For those of you out there who are wondering, if you are going neutral, warm tone, or cold tone, I can say with authority, the general population, the general public will always err on the warm tone side. So for those of you out there making prints who are absolutely insanely obsessed with neutral black and white, you are the only ones. The general public loves warm tone. Cold tone, not so much. If I had to rank these, I would say warm tone, neutral, cold tone, but it's never neutral ahead of warm tone. So if you're going to err in any one direction when you're making prints or you're making books with black and white, err on the warm side, my friends and family. Okay, speaking of family, this is the mother unit. This is my mother from probably a decade ago. This was before she started to have some cognitive issues, which she's having now, which is not a good story, not a good thing happening in my family at the moment, but she's hanging in there. She's tough. This is one tough woman. She's an alpha for a female, if that makes sense. Grew up in a world of alpha men, and the men all basically figured out the hard way that the king of the heap is the person you're looking at right now. She was the one that sort of became the overseer of all the people in our ranching family and all the cowboys and all the men and everything else. Everyone was subservient to my mother. And so the little tribute here to my mom. Now, I have got a bunch of images in this picture package. So just know this is not only about picture package, but this is also about an editing assignment, because not everything is going to make this final picture package. And remember, in the words of Lester Bangs from Almost Famous, these are not your friends. You have to be merciless, and that is how you edit. You edit mercilessly because these are not your friends, and your clients are also not your friends. They're your clients. So just keep that in mind. So here we have image number 1, and I'm going to go through these quick and come back. Image number 2, image number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. That's it. Let's go back to the start. This one. Now, I know what you're thinking. Milner, that's a masterful portrait. Here's the thing. Number 1, you are looking at 6x6 analog Hasselblad portraiture. And if you are looking for a setup, if you're looking for kit to shoot portraiture, you will not find anything better than that setup, if you're so inclined to shoot analog. This is what I shot portraits with for almost a decade. This is a 120mm lens, not a lens I used a whole lot. I shot mostly with the 80, but the 120 was an unbelievable portrait lens. In fact, the problem with the 120 is that it's in some cases too sharp. It showed too much detail, too much imperfection, too much blemish in the subject, so you had to be careful. But as you can see, the fall off here with a 120 camera, 6.6 camera is gorgeous. Now, as you can see, rim lit, right? My mom is rim lit. I've got a tree as an anchor here, a tree as an anchor here, but they're out of focus. They're just sort of anchoring her to both sides. That was intentional, by the way. The backlighting was intentional, by the way. And the nice fall off up here, yes, everybody likes that. It's candy. But this is a boring photograph. This is boring. This is what the photo editor wants, because the photo editor doesn't know actually what they want. This is the safe bet. And if you don't know what my mom looks like, then yes, there could be a strategic value in this image. I'm not saying it's a bad image. I'm just saying it's kind of a boring image, a stale image. Let's move on. Image number 2, now we are getting into the Milner realm. You're getting into the realm of how I see the world, which I'm not saying is good. I'm just saying this is how I see the world. So let's define what you're looking at. This Yeti-like structure here is me. That is my outline. I am shooting into the front window of my mom's cabin, which looks exactly like this. That is the back window of my mom's cabin. So I'm shooting through the front window, through the middle of the house, through the back window. And as you can see, there's mama right there. So you've got this on the outside is actually behind me. That's what the front of my mom's cabin looks like. So let's go ahead and count these layers. We've got 1, which is behind me, 2, the coffee table, 3 is her chair where she takes a nap, and her writing table over here. 4 would be my mom, 5 would be, let's say, the picture window, and 6 would be my hulking, ripped, muscular figure in the middle. That's the kind of image that I am looking for. I understand that people might hate this picture. I don't care. It's my picture package and my photography. Now, as you have noticed, I cover my bases. because my brother and sister might hate this picture. The rest of my family might hate this picture. They're gonna like this picture because it's basic and it's easy to read, but not me. This is me. Moving on. This is my mom, action figure. My mom is a total badass and loves snakes and spiders and everything else. This is a flooded creek by her house that she's just wandering and walking up. Guarantee you there are water moccasins up here. She doesn't care. Water moccasins see my mom. She's a bit like the female Chuck Norris. They're going the other way. These are her beloved dogs, both of which have since passed on. But my mom was never, ever, ever without a dog. And frankly, she liked her dogs better than she liked her children. So I have mixed feelings about this image. Moving on. Now, this might just seem like a normal tree to you. It's not. This is the tree in the backyard of my mom's cabin, the tree that she looked at all day, every day, all morning having her coffee, all evening watching the sun go down. This is the tree. Now, I shot this, again, with the Hasselblad, but with a 9-stop neutral density filter on a tripod because I'm looking for this ghosting that you see up here. And the goal behind the ghosting, think about this. This was about putting some thought towards the photography before it happens. My goal with this was to create an image that looked like a charcoal drawing. And I think, not to blow my own horn, I think I did it. I succeeded in making that. I do think this looks like a charcoal drawing. I love charcoal drawings. After I made this image, I went on to shoot for about 5 years with this technique, doing these charcoal drawing pictures from all over the world. And I like them. In fact, I have a couple on the wall here at my house, believe it or not, and I don't have a lot of my own stuff on the wall, but they're there. So this tree has meaning, and this is going to come into play later. Same for this. These are deer antlers. My mom has been collecting these forever. They're on all the tables in the house. The antlers from the time I was a kid, we have these in all of our houses. Again, the 6:6 format for this kind of photograph with a very shallow depth of field and very soft fall off all the way around. Who doesn't love this? We are all suckers for that. This will come into play later. Foreshadowing. Okay, my mom has also built cairns her entire life. She's known as the crazy cairn lady in her neighborhood. She builds these along public roads, private roads, driveways, hillsides, valleys, riverbeds, doesn't matter, my whole life. So I shot this picture of her. In my family, obviously the cairn here is going to have a resonance. I'm using the trees as a framing device, my mom in the center. Again, a very simple, basic photograph that looks better than it should because I'm using a 6:6 with great fall off. This is not a great photograph. This is just an informational picture. I'm not in love with it. And the last image we're going to look at, this is from my mom's back porch. This is across to what's called the Twin Sisters. This is one of the Twin Sisters. This is one of the highest peaks in the area. And coming from New Mexico, it's not very high. This is like what we would call a hill out here. But in Texas, this is a mountain. So Twin Sisters. Okay, so let's go back through here. We got picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, picture 4, picture 5, 6, whatever, 7. Let's move on to the picture package. Now remember, Lester Bang's Merciless. I've already edited one out for you, which is the picture of the pseudo mountain of the Twin Sisters. We are now down to 6 images from this package. Now, black and white is based on, obviously you're not basing this on color, you're basing on form and content inside the images. What matters and what fits together. Now remember, you're editing for your audience as well. And if the audience is a photo editor, or for an editorial outlet or somebody like that, you've got to edit in a certain way. They will have an editorial policy. They will have a style of photograph that they tend to run. All of those things have to come into play. There will be images in this set that they would immediately eliminate and others that they would gravitate to. I, on the other hand, because I will never do another assignment for any of those people ever again, I am editing for me only. Greedy, greedy, greedy. Yes, I am. I'm editing for me. So let's move on. I've cut it to 6. Let's see what comes next. Are you holding your breath? Hopefully not. Okay, I've cut it to 4. What did I eliminate? What did I eliminate? I eliminated over here the standard, the boring portrait. I know what my mom looks like, believe it or not. I'm that coherent enough to know. So I'm eliminating that one. I'm also eliminating this one, which kind of falls into the same category. For me and my family, it will have relevance, but for you, if you don't know about the cairn situation, then it wouldn't make sense to you. We don't need that in there. So I'm eliminating that, and we are moving forward with the, wait a minute, did I leave something? Oh yeah, eliminated the dogs too, right? I know, no I didn't, there they are. Okay, I can count at times. So we're down to 4. Now I knew the second I put this thing together, I knew the 3 images I wanted. And so yes, I cheated. They're my images. I knew from day one when I shot these, I knew what the triptych would be. And yes, I just gave you some foreshadowing and a little hint that this is going to be a triptych. Not all 4 are going to make it. This picture I like. I told you. This is my style of portraiture. That's important. I'm not shooting for you. I'm shooting for me. I know as a photographer the components that compile my style of image. That took me 10 years to figure out, people, shooting every day as a professional, shooting assignments every day for other people. It still took me 10 years to figure it out. If you haven't figured it out, you need to stop what you're doing and attempt to begin the process of figuring out how you see the world. How you see it will be different from the next person, and one is not better than the other. It's just different. Everybody sees the world in a different way. This is how I see the world. Believe it or not, when I walk through the world, I am compiling all of these layers all the time. It's a sickness. I wish I didn't do that, but I do. This, I told you, resonance and relevance in my family. These are in the houses, they're on the tables outside. It's been a part of my life since I was born into this family. I told you the significance of this tree right here. Obviously, this thing is gonna make this spread no matter what, because 1, I like this picture, but 2, it is of the utmost importance in my mother's life. This is the outlier here, where I'm like, yes, I like the dogs. I actually like the pose of the dogs. I like the tail up here in the back. I like the mouth open. And, you know, this one's like smelling the other one. That's what dogs do. It's what humans do from time to time too. I don't recommend that, but it does happen. But it's kind of an outlier, and she's looking away, you know? And it's kind of a weird pose with her. It's not the most flattering picture. She'd be pissed if she saw me including that picture in here, by the way. So let's move on to the next one, and let's just cut this baby down. This to me these are the 3 remaining photographs. This is the triptych that I had in my head. On this day when I made this picture story, I did it. And by the way, to get my mother to pose, I would rather eat a light bulb than try to get her to pose. It is never easy. It is a battle. There are threats being made. She's claiming all kinds of horrible things about me, and I'm telling her she's never been a good mother. And then finally I break her down to the point where she will pose for me. But the feel of this triptych is not right yet. It doesn't feel right to me. So let's look at the final triptych. This to me is the final triptych. This is the 3. So we've eliminated, if I go back to this first shot here, I took the 7th picture out. We started with 6, we went to 4, we went to 3, and now I'm just sequencing. And so this to me is a right-facing photo. I kind of feel like this whole vibe of this image is going that way for whatever reason. You may not feel the same way. I do. I think it's probably because so many of the branches are heading off in this direction. And then this picture, whoops, sorry. This picture does not feel like, whoa, hang on. Did I not flatten this thing? No, here it is. Nope, I blew it. I blew it here, people. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. You get the point. This picture on the right feels like it's a good anchor for the right side of the triptych. It kind of feels like it's holding everything to the left in. Oh, there we go. It's working. And so this picture just feels like it needs to be on that right-hand side. And in the middle, my mother is looking this direction, right? So I don't want this picture all the way over here on the left. I definitely want it in the center. I also think the dynamic of this picture, because it is my style of photo, it has that weird vibe to it. I kind of like it as the centerpiece. And again, she is the centerpiece. This is a portrait of my mom, this tree. This is a portrait, as is the picture on the right. That's the thing about portraiture. It doesn't have to be the face of the person that you're photographing. This could be called atmospheric portraiture. This could be environmental portraiture. When you're a newspaper photographer, you have to shoot environmental portraiture all the time. It is probably one of the most commonly assigned assignments in the newspaper world. We used to joke, you know, guy in front of lot where building will be, with, you know, with a strobe, and you had to light this stuff. Horrible assignments, but you had to do that stuff all the time. You had to quickly analyze who someone was, what their surroundings were, and then incorporate the surroundings and the person into a single photograph and then into a multitude of photographs that might, if you got lucky, end up as a picture package. That is the black and white picture package that I told people I was going to do. There are more on the way. I have one of my nephew from this very same location that I'm going to do, and then I have another color one coming as well. So I hope that was interesting and appropriate, and I will be back with more. Where are my manners? It wasn't that bad, right? The sound, it wasn't actually that bad. I was watching, there's a rabbit right over here that was like just hopping along. Everything's fine. Hail's over, sun's coming out. Rabbit's like, now's my time to shine. But then just over there was Mr. Coyote. Mr. Coyote was like, I'm ready for some buffet, some rabbit buffet. But it didn't go down, trust me. This is no Nat Geo film. But anyway, I appreciate you tuning in here. And there will be more where this came from. And again, folks, there's no real right and wrong here. Whatever you can justify is just fine. And what I said earlier is very important. Your audience of who you're editing for is key. If you're on assignment for someone, or you're shooting for a brand, or you're shooting for whatever, a calendar for an oil company in the, I don't know, the Canadian tar sands, for example, they're gonna have a say in the agenda. So you can help cull the herd, and you can present things that make you look good as a photographer, but ultimately they will have the end say. But when you're editing for yourself and you're doing these little puzzles, or you're starting to edit for a book and you want to just break things into easily digestible sizes, then this picture package, this ordeal is worth going through. So thanks, and I'll be back.